The medical bay of the Frontier's Edge hummed with the soft drone of recycled air. Eris sat at his workstation, organizing supplies with the methodical precision that had kept him alive through 3 colony wars. The smell of antiseptic hung in the air, a scent that brought him more comfort than it probably should. He didn't hear the door open. What he heard was breathing, heavy, labored, and trying very hard to be quiet. Aris turned slowly. In the doorway stood Vec, one of the Karzan cubs from the refugee group they'd taken aboard 2 cycles ago. The young alien stood barely 4 feet tall, covered in dense gray fur that bristled with obvious pain. His 4 amber eyes were wide with something between fear and defiance. One forepaw was held awkwardly against his chest, dark blood matting the fur around it. "Hey there," Eris said softly, making no sudden movements. The Karzan were a proud warrior species. Coming here at all had probably cost the cub more than Aris could imagine. Vec's translator collar crackled. "I require no assistance. I came only to ask about supplies." "Supplies," Aris repeated, noting how the cub's legs trembled. "What kind of supplies?" "Bandages for my elder sibling." The lie was transparent, but Eris didn't call it out. Instead, he stood and gestured to the examination table. "Why don't you show me what your sibling needs? That way I can give you the right materials." Vec hesitated, pride warring with pain across his furred face. Finally, slowly, he approached the table. Up close, Eris could see the wound clearly, a deep gash across the paw pad, probably from the jagged metal that lined the lower decks where the refugees had been exploring. "That's a nasty cut," Eris observed, keeping his tone matter-of-fact. "Your sibling should see a medic. Karzan warriors do not need help." "I know." Eris pulled on gloves and reached for his supplies. "But you're not on Karzonis anymore, Vec. And on this ship, accepting medical care isn't weakness. It's survival." The cub's ears flattened against his skull. For a moment, Eris thought he might bolt. Then Vec slowly extended his injured paw. Eris worked in silence, cleaning the wound with gentle efficiency. The cub didn't make a sound, though his claws extended involuntarily when the antiseptic touched raw flesh. "You know," Eris said conversationally, "I was a soldier before I became a medic. Lost my whole unit in the Proxima offensive." Vec's eyes fixed on him. The Karzan knew of human military history. Everyone did. After humanity had helped break the siege of Vec's Prime. "I thought accepting help made me less," Eris continued, wrapping the bandage with practiced hands. "Thought asking for anything meant I couldn't handle it alone. Then my commander sat me down and told me something I'll never forget." He secured the bandage and met Vec's gaze. "She said the strongest warriors aren't the ones who never fall. They're the ones smart enough to let someone help them stand back up." Vec stared at his newly bandaged paw, flexing it experimentally. The white gauze stood out stark against his gray fur. "It does not hurt as much," he admitted quietly. "It'll heal clean now," Eris assured him. "Keep it dry. Come back in 2 days and I'll change the dressing." The cub nodded and hopped off the table. He made it to the door before stopping. Without turning around, he said, "Thank you, Medic Aris." "Any time, Vec." Aris didn't expect to see the cub again so soon. He certainly didn't expect what happened the next morning. The medical bay doors opened to reveal not just Vec, but 6 other Karzan cubs, ranging from knee-high to nearly adolescent. They filed in silently, forming a line that would have been comical if not for the serious expressions on their furry faces. Vec stood at the front, his bandaged paw prominently displayed. He met Eris's confused look with something that might have been embarrassment. Vec gestured to the others, "also have injuries." Eris looked down the line. One cub had a scraped elbow. Another had what appeared to be a splinter. A third had a bruise that was probably days old. The last few seemed to be there simply because the others were. Understanding dawned slowly. Eris had to suppress a smile. "I see," he said gravely. "Well, we'd better take a look at everyone then. Who's first?" What followed was perhaps the strangest hour of Eris's medical career. He cleaned scratches that barely broke the skin. He removed a splinter so small he needed magnification to see it. He applied cooling gel to bruises that were already healing. He bandaged a stubbed toe, and with each cub he did the same thing he'd done with Vec. He talked. He told them stories. He asked about their lives before the ship. He made them laugh with clumsy attempts at Karzan humor. He treated each tiny injury with the same careful attention he'd give a critical wound. Word spread through the refugee quarters like wildfire. By the third day, it wasn't just cubs. Adult Karzan began appearing at the medical bay with complaints they'd been ignoring for weeks. A warrior with a chronic joint problem, an elder with persistent headaches, a mother whose sleep had been troubled since fleeing their homeworld. Eris treated them all. He never commented on how long they'd waited, never judged their reasons for coming. He simply helped, one patient at a time, showing them that accepting care wasn't surrender, it was wisdom. Vec became a regular fixture in the medical bay, his bandage long since removed but his presence constant.
He appointed himself Eris's unofficial assistant,
helping translate nuances that the computer couldn't catch, calming nervous cubs, and proudly showing off his healed paw as evidence that the human medic could be trusted. One evening, as Eris cleaned up after a particularly busy day, Captain Threll of the Karzan refugees entered the medical bay. The massive warrior had to duck through the doorway, his battle-scarred hide bearing the marks of countless campaigns. "Medic Eris," he rumbled, his translator collar making his voice sound like grinding stone. "You have done something I could not." Eris looked up, surprised. "Sir?" "You have taught my people that strength comes in many forms." Threll's four eyes gleamed with emotion. "A warrior knows how to fight, but it takes a different kind of courage to ask for healing. You showed a cub this truth, and through him you showed us all." The captain placed a clawed hand over his chest in a Karzan salute. "The humans speak of healing bodies, but you, Medic Eris, have begun healing our pride. For that, our people will remember you." After Threll left, Eris sat alone in the quiet medical bay, a small smile on his face. He thought of Vec, of that first frightened cub who had been brave enough to ask for help. Of all the others who had followed his example, humanity had fought alongside the Karzan. They had bled together on a dozen worlds. But perhaps the greatest victory wasn't one with weapons at all. Perhaps it was one with a simple bandage, wrapped carefully around a cub's paw, and the gentle reminder that sometimes the strongest thing you can do is let someone care.